Hey everybody, it is 9:30. We made it to yet another week. How cool is that? So I'm very excited. I hope everyone had a very good 4th of July. Those who aren't American, I hope you had a good week. So this is all very cool. So we're on YouTube, and this is part 2 of painting Emma Watson in Airbrush. You're going to hear some humming of the air conditioner. That is going to pretty much the case until October, because I'm not sweating on my painting. As you know, not a good look when there's sweat stains on your drawing or painting. So that's basically the case there. So I'm just going to go ahead and very quickly try and authorize the chat. Let's see. Just be one moment, guys. Do my weekly authorization of chat because I use XSplit. Let's see how this goes. Everything's looking good thus far. Bam! I should see you guys in 2 moments. Hey, Willie, good to see you. How you been? How was your 4th of July celebration, sir? So it's very good to see you. Thanks so much for coming by. Trying to get it so I could see this particular live stream on my YouTube TV over here. Because I see part 1 but not part 2. So I'm just going to leave that. So here's a new camera angle today. A little bit different, but I think it's really cool so you can see a different aspect of the painting process. So let's see. I'm just going to check once more to see. There we are. I see part 2, and there's 2 of you watching, which is very cool. So now I can see what you guys see. That was a little bit blue. Is that blue on your TV, Willie? Let me see if I can just unblue it a little bit, right? Just get rid of some of that blue by adding its complementary color. Let's see if that helps out a little bit. Still a little blue, but I can tell by the red it's not too bad. Okay, so that's that. I did. I actually did get a little, I don't know. I wanted to work out some of the new things because I worked with a new white last week, Willie, which is a 50-50 illustration white. And I really liked what it did. It really was unbelievable as far as the quality of white. So I really highly recommend it for the early stages. For the later stages, if you're adding white, I think the Bombay India ink will still be a little bit better, because when you don't want to erase, you definitely want to use the Bombay India ink, the white India ink. But if you need erasing, like in the early going, this is definitely the best way to go. And I got some reducer. Now this reducer is no longer available, Willie. Hey Christian, how's it going? Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate that. This is the 5091 reducer for this particular white. It's not even available anymore. I bought this in 2013. I haven't used it until I decided to do this experiment. So the kind of reducer you need to get is actually the 4012 reducer by Createx. Hey Ray, good to see you. How's it going, man? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by on this Wednesday. So remember, whenever I go into fresh into a new piece of work, I'm always going into my very thin reduction, which is with the Speedball is the 6-20. So let's go do that. It's good I keep showing you guys because, you know, it can't hurt. If you see me doing it over and over again, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to do it on your own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, one thing, I've been working on a 5.5-hour tutorial video, which I am editing every day now, and I'll tell you, this is going to be an amazing video, guys. I'm not holding anything back. I think it's going to be something that, from beginning to end, is just like having you look over my shoulder from the whole process. So I'm going to put 20 in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1 for good luck. Okay, so that is the thinnest mixture you're ever going to do. Whenever you go into a work of art for the first time in a couple of days, go into it with a very watered down a dilution, a very diluted ink, as well as a low air pressure, so you have more control and you're less likely to make any mistakes when you're coming in flat like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and load my airbrush here. So once again, what I want to do, well, first I'm going to put a top on this. Remember, disasters are best if they're circumvented from the very beginning, right? Okay, so here we go. So we are ready to go in with this, and let's just go ahead and fix this color here. If I can, I have a little bit of a hard time with the color. I think maybe if I just kill the saturation, that would probably be best, and then we'll lighten it up. I think that's much better. Okay, cool. We'll just come over here and we'll lower the contrast. There we go. Okay, not bad. So let's go from this angle a little bit, and we're just going to make sure that we do our initial sprays as a test, because you never know if your needle is not back all the way from cleaning it the night before, or if there's still tip dry on the needle you forgot about, so you always want to test it out. Okay, so we're in good shape. So let's go back to this camera angle here. Hey Mike, good to see you. How's it going? Oh, no problem. We got Heath, so cool, and Brush Strokes, how's it going? So we have a nice healthy group here. That's good to see. Christian says, can't wait to get back to the airbrush. Yes, pretty soon. That's exciting. Willie says, Tim, when do you think the video will be out? It's actually, I'm thinking within 2 weeks, because I worked on it a lot today. I'm really trying to get that due date probably by maybe the 20th of July. This is going to be great, because it's going to be, you know, such a good value. And so what I'll do, it'll be a download, but if you want, I'll make a DVD of it for whoever wants it. If they purchase a download, you just have to pay shipping and handling. So I'll make the DVD for free for you guys. For you guys, the ink flingers. I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks so much. And Mike says he picked up a new 100 SF side feed, and like new Spirit for less than $100 on eBay. Both look and work beautiful. Nice, very good. I'm so cool. That's so cool when you get those really good finds. So as you can see, what we're doing right now is we're just getting reacclimated today with the pose. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use this freehand shield. It's going to be good hanging out with you again, Christian. I'm looking forward to that. So this video is going to be 5.5 hours, and it's basically me talking to you about what I'm doing, about tips along the way, shortcuts, not really shortcuts, but ways to circumvent more work and do it a lot easier. Things that I don't get to talk about in the live stream all the time. So this is going to be really great. Well, you're going to be a little rusty, but that's all right. We'll get the rust out there, Christian, so don't worry about it at all. Just when you get home, you just got to do all those dagger strokes and dots and fading lines. Everyone knows my policy on that, right, guys? So as you can see, the hair, now looking at the hair in this picture here, you can see that there's a lot going on, but I'm not getting confused with everything. I'm just working on the larger shapes as if it was a three-dimensional shape, like spheres and squares, and then going in darker, you know. Heat says, so Tim, is Emma in character? She looks like Marilyn. I'm not sure. It's a very interesting, she is very photogenic, isn't she? I mean, I think she really comes alive when she's, you know, having her photo taking like this, and very beautiful. And but I'm not sure if this was a character piece. But I really see her eyes. There's really a lot behind them, right? $100 for the pair, including shipping and handling and tax. That's fantastic. That's really kick butt. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Fellow Jersey guy, how you doing? Joe did a painting on a guitar, which was really quite fascinating. I'd never painted on a guitar before, so that's something perhaps I'll get a commission to do down the line. Someone brave enough to hand me their guitar. Right? That's thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. So right here, it's lighter and darker. So I'm just looking at the major dark and light shapes. So you see that? I'm just worrying about value. I'm at a very low air pressure, 25 psi, plus I'm dialing it down with the Mac valve by Iwata. And Ray says, I got a sharpened air and ran my needles through it. The airbrush is now totally different to use. More accurate, finer control, smoother output. Recommended to everyone. Like getting a new airbrush. Wow, that's pretty good. Now, do you think it's because you had older needles, or you think this would actually help a newer needle as well, Ray? So for the first little bit, I think we're just going to be worrying about her hair. I'm just going to be dealing with the large shapes, guys. Take these glasses off. Sometimes the glasses do the original needle. Okay. Hey, Bill, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Oh, so Emma is in the Beauty and the Beast movie. Wow. I got to check that out. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, Bill. That was a really great video you did earlier today. Very good. Good job, man. So we have this second view here. Just so you can see my distance. Remember, the air is always down. Air is always coming out, and I'm rocking the trigger. Even when I'm moving to one area to the next, the air is down. Lower the saturation here. I'd rather it be black and white than blue, right? So, okay, that's a little bit better. It's also good to see it at this different angle because you can see if I'm getting the likeness, and that's another way to look at it. One of the great ways of videotaping or filming when you work is that you get to see a lot of the nuances of your work when you're filming it. Get to see it in a different way, and it really helps in the growth of the artist, I think. Something that Rembrandt and Vermeer never had the opportunity. And so Bill says, thanks, Tim. It was quick, about an hour's work, but I never intended to go all the way with it. Just enough to hopefully get everyone to understand and see. Very cool. No, it was very informative. So I thought it was great, Bill. So we're going to take our mono eraser here, and we're just going to just pull out some of the hair texture. We're not going too crazy just yet. We got plenty of time for this. We're just establishing here and there. And of course we have our Blackbeard wheat, which we're going to introduce shortly. Remember, this actually, the water bottle hit this and it went flying, but this is really important. Always put the cap on it. Otherwise, that would have been a disaster of all disasters. So an ounce of prevention does go a long way. So we're also going to come in with a darker mixture, but right now we're just getting reacclimated to the forms. The one thing about my technique is that it's a very slow technique, and it's slow because it's building up everything, and it's making decisions slowly so you can make corrections as you go. Oh, so Bill says I usually buy my grayscale value finders, but mine are loaded with overspray. That's easily findable and printable on the net. Oh, okay. People ask me about values and stuff like that. I guess I've been doing it for so long, you know, I don't think about it. I think about it, but not in the terms of you know, a conscious thought. So as you can see, we're setting up to go in with those darker darks. Ray says, I also had my air compressor burn up and had to get a new one since my wife has so much trouble sleeping and even getting to sleep. Oh, you went and you got a silent air. Congratulations. Wow, that's what I want. You never know what your living situation might be. I don't know, that's just the way life is. So I think I definitely need a silent compressor because, you know, I have to work. It's not only my hobby now, but it's also how I make a living. So it's important to get an air compressor that's quiet. I think that's the most sound advice ever. Bill says he usually does as well, but as teaching method, yes, exactly, because that's one thing a student has to see is the values. And that when I first saw values back in the 80s when I was studying, it was like it's like a veil lifted, you know? It was unbelievable. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and darken some of these areas because it's hard to erase something which doesn't have any value next to it. So we are going to just dust over everything here. And of course these pencil lines will be gone pretty soon as well. So when going back into your work after you haven't worked on it, let's say in 24 hours, for me it's been like, I would say it's probably been about 20 hours since I've been working on this. And, but it's always good to reacclimate yourself with the lighter mixture. Never go straight in with a dark mixture. It's just a bad idea all around. As you can see, we are just very lightly working this all together. And there is definitely no rush. Now, one of the things that you have to really pay attention to is the hairline. The hairline is one of those things that portrait artists don't talk about, but that's one of the things that could really make or break your likeness. Oh, so he says he got some Canson 98-pound pastel pencil and some Speedball black. Looking to try it this weekend. Wow, fantastic! Now, when you said the Canson, is that the Color Line series? So brushstrokes kicked my butt a couple of weeks ago, Bill says. So what was the challenge of that one? What was the painting of? You want to make sure you don't oversaturate the surface. You basically will, if you oversaturate it, you'll see it'll start to spider on you and even stain the paper. Either way, it's just not good. So let's use a freehand shield just to give this one errant hair a little bit of definition. So what you do is, you're still going in the direction of the hair underneath. You see that? And this way, when you do that, it looks like the hair is just, going its own direction. See that? Same thing on the other side. Make sure you wipe off your freehand shield. So we basically want to do the same thing on this side. And you see how you get that one little hair. Of course, we can go ahead and define that, but see, that's what you want to do. You want to use your freehand shields very artfully. You know what I mean? Willie says, Tim, you were talking about painting on a guitar. I'm just wondering, can you clear over ink, and would that work? Good question. I'm sure you know. I really don't know. If I was to paint on a guitar, I would definitely go ahead and use the golden fluid acrylics. I would go that route. I don't know if the inks would actually work. It would be an experiment, but I wouldn't want to do that on someone's guitar, right? But I would do it on wood first and see if it works. But I don't know. I'm not sure it would work. I think this this technique is basically something that is more geared for your fine art applications, on canvas, on board, on paper. So I definitely would not recommend India ink for your more custom airbrush stuff. Brushstroke says, I won the votes, but Bill's painting was better. It was a dragon's eye. I'm sure both of them were really cool. I think if you used but then again, I really don't know. I think I would have to say Bill's probably right. Bill's right in this situation. I've never tried it. I don't think I ever will, though. So as you can see how I'm building up the hair, and just slowly. There's no rush, as I said. So as you see, so we have the dark, and then it lights, and then right here, it's going to darken down. But we want that turning of the form. You see that? That's what's going on here. And it's just sort of like building on volume, and it's so hair is very complex, so you won't want to attack it like every individual hair. Number one, even if it does come out okay, you're going to have a horrible time, because who wants to paint every individual hair? I'll go into sculpture if I have to do that. So, the way I paint is I want to have fun, and I want to experience the pose and sort of, do it the way I was taught, which is work from large to small, work from broad to specific, work from light to dark. All those principles are always in effect. Principles in painting are so important, I feel. And I think a lot of the principles died, with unfortunately. But, maybe they'll come back. So Bill says the golden fluids are definitely much more suitable, and myself, I've used Createch Quick and Illustration for that purpose. Yeah, I mean, I like, I think Createx is, very good for custom work and that sort of thing. I like the golden because of their mediums and also for their science, the chemistry of the paints. I'm a fine artist, and I'm kind of, kind of suspect on a lot of the things of a lot of airbrush paints. So I want my paintings to last, so that's why I want to go with a company that I feel is worrying about archival, worrying about light fastness. Bill says the light fasting is something I don't think of, but you're right. Yeah, it's very true, I don't want my paintings to disappear in 60 years. Even though I'm not going to be here, it'd be nice that, my paintings are still here. Oh, so my guitar is golden high flows. Nice. That's cool. Brushstroke says, hair is difficult. Just messed up on some yesterday trying to finish my avatar painting. Hey, if you ever have any trouble there, Brushstrokes, always feel free to drop me a line. I might not get back to you right away, but you can even IM me or whatever, and I'll try and get back to you. You can even go ahead and just post on Leaf Flingers, and there's a lot of people that would really love to help you out. So you're not alone next time. But on this new video coming out in 2 weeks, she has some beautiful hair, so that's going to be really fun to do. And it's going to be very, you're going to learn a lot about, my science of painting hair. Now, I don't want this whole video to be about the hair, so I'm going to move away from it in just a few moments. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of darker value. We're going to pretty much start pulling out some of the darker midtones. Doing that, we're going to have to do darker darks, and you're going to see things start to evolve a little bit faster. Remember, your dagger strokes and your fading dots are so important, or fading lines. If you ever see it, you had a little blowout, no problem. You just go ahead and dry that real quick before it stains the painting surface. Last night I was up till around 4 in the morning. Then I got up today early and did about 8 hours of the editing of the video, and the voiceovers and everything. He says, is my mixture 6 and 21? Exactly. 6 drops of India ink to 21 full eyedroppers of the water. And that's why at the very low air pressure, as you know, guys, you have the most amazing control. Look at this. It's just unfair, right? Look, it's unfair. So, I just love the fact that we have this really amazing control using this technique. And that's why I say, this technique is not just, not just for being different, but I really feel that it opens up the control to artists. And I like that. And it just works. I think the other paints definitely do not lend themselves to control. I think it's sort of like riding a Bronco buck. I think with this, it's like riding a pony. You really you really have total control. Which I think for someone starting out, you definitely want to do this technique because you're going to experience that. You're going to get more comfortable with your airbrush, with using the air pressure, the Mac valve, the distance. So definitely, this is definitely a medium to go to if you're not 100% comfortable with, let's say, working with acrylics. So yesterday it was just me, Jersey Joe, and then Gloria for a few minutes. It was a real quiet day, but it was good. I enjoyed it. Um, it was a chance just to get to know Joe and just it was not bad. I'm always going to try and be as consistent as possible. For me doing these live streams for you guys because consistency is definitely the only recipe for success. Well, one of the main ingredients, right? Uh, Willie says, Bill, you should pick up that thing. You should pick that thing up and make a video of you playing it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and just sort of shape this area right here. We're going to come in with our freehand shields and we're going to come in with our Blackbeard wheat and really make this really sing. But right now we're just looking at big value shapes here. Darkening it down like this is going to enable you to go ahead with the mono eraser and create some really nice hair textures. So what you want to do is you want to keep everything very clean. Look how clean everything is. There's no overspray. I'm actually taking care of overspray as it's happening. I'm working very light and going gradually darker, so I don't have any blowouts or anything that I'm going to have to lighten. I'm always going darker. So those are things that you really want to look for as to why I do this technique and why you should do this technique. And also, when I was working on this, I was also working on the background here. So you see how the background is something that you can actually explore working on the background. One of the things that I'm finding working more and more with the airbrush, doing about 6 hours a day, is that I'm learning at what the airbrush does at different air pressures. I mean, it definitely has a different look and there's a different job for different air pressures. So right now, especially for, you want something to be airy, right? So you dial that down just a little bit, raise the distance between the surface and the airbrush, and you're going to get more of an atmospheric look. Feeling of air, I should say. So if you look here, And you look here, we're getting pretty close as far as the background is. And that's something that's really going to help you too, is paying attention to the background. Not just an arbitrary value, but really pay attention to what's happening. You see, because as you see here, it's darker and lighter as it goes up on this side. And interesting enough, on this side, it's darker and lighter as it goes down. So it's rather fascinating, but that was done by the photographer, but it does have a nice effect. Hey Bradley, good to see you. How's everything, man? So let's see. So it says here, I will reach out for sure next time, Brushstroke says, for questions. Love how you're willing to help others. You're very welcome. And then is you say here, see if I can go back. I'm YouTube trained airbrusher. Bill Leon Artistry, very cool. Soul Dog. Let's see, is one of the best. Oh, his girl in the red room. That was actually very good. I like that. That was really cool. So tomorrow I have a meeting, and I'm going to find out what dates I could possibly do for the workshop here in New Jersey that I want to do. And it's going to be a real intense workshop. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be limited to 10 people, so I'm able to really give the students something fantastic, you know? Interesting about mixing colors. I think too much is on color theory. I think color theory is great, but color really just comes from experience, and you'll just see that you start seeing colors and you start knowing the mixtures. There are a lot of programs out there. On the Golden Paint website, there's a color mixer that will tell you how to mix the colors. That's really good. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and get a darker mixture. And let's see. Hey Raul, how's it going? No, better late than never. Always good to see you, my friend. Happy Wednesday. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a darker mixture, and let's see. So we did 6 to 21. Let's do 6 to 12, right? Let's try 6 to 12. That's not bad. So we'll just go ahead and take our ink. We'll do 6 and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then let's do 12. Notice I always have a lid whenever I have any liquids on my working surface here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The accounting is for my benefit, guys, because I don't know, if I don't count, who knows what I'll have in there. Always have your paint mixture far away. So let me go ahead, blow out what I have in my airbrush right now. Last night I was playing with my Sotar Slim. Love that airbrush. I was working with that last night, just having a good time. So here's my 6 to 10. Let me tell you what I do. When I could find my tape, where is my tape? Hold on, guys. Okay, here we go. So when I have something like this as my 6 to 10 mixture, there's no way for me to tell what in the world it will be if I get mixed up instead of putting it through the airbrush and going through all that craziness. So what I do is I'll just go ahead and do 6 to 10 on that. And then here is my other, which was 26 to 21. And that's how you know. But you have to cover these because, you know, you don't want that disaster going on. So let's go ahead and do some tests, make sure everything is working correctly. Okay, so notice I'm always protecting the artwork. When we come in with the white pastel, it's really going to pop, so you guys are going to like that. So Mike says, oh, speaking of the Sotar 2020, I was told several weeks more. That's horrible. That's a long time to wait for an airbrush, but when it does arrive, you'll be happy. But still, that's a long wait, my friends. So with a slightly darker mixture now, we're just going to sort of hit some of these darker lines, such as those inner contours or the creases. Like right here. There we go. So you see, we're just hitting some of those little bit richer darks right now. Remember, perpendicular, not parallel. Just get that little shadow between her blouse strap and her clavicle. So you get that real nice, beautiful little line there. I can also build up this cast shadow of her hand on her cheek. But as you can see, since I'm working with a slightly darker color, the decisions become a little more dear. So you have to be a little more careful. But it's just really beautiful at this low air pressure. So what I'm doing now is I'm hitting some of the dark accents. This is not the dark accents at the beginning, or I mean at the end. It's still relatively light, but I think it's going to establish some of the shapes, and that's what's important. So at this low air pressure, you can really do some beautiful detail. Remember, distance is also another way to control how dark your application is going to be. Okay, so you see we went ahead and darkened some of these little areas here. But when you do that, you'll see that other areas need to be darkened as well, because it's all relative value. I'm not looking for that value. I'm just looking to darken everything down slowly. Just looking at some of these larger shapes in her hair. Now, so as you see, we went ahead and darkened this area here. We can actually make it a little richer right now, a little darker. Darken that up. Doing that, we can see that we can actually go ahead and darken this area up. Remember, so let's say I don't want it to be so blotchy, you know, I want to have a smooth gradation. You just move further away. So look at this angle here. So you see right here I'm doing like detail, right? So I'm close. But if I was going to go ahead and start doing any kind of like larger value area at this distance, it's going to look horrible. I'm going to have a hard time. So I'm at a good distance now, and that makes all the difference. So if I want lighter, I just go further and further away from the surface. Now here we have a really nice dark underneath her nose there, a little cast shadow. So I'm going to get a little bit close, as you can see. And then I can make sure that I have that shape down. So we'll go to this angle here. And you'll see that we could refine the shape again. Soften this edge here. Just a little bit. Now, let's see if we can just go ahead and just really work on this contour right here. It's a little bit darker. You want to crawl along the surface. You don't want to try and get that all in one shot, you know, like be a cowboy, try to get all in one shot. You crawl along the surface. Oh my God, you have DSL? I had DSL a couple of years ago. That was very challenging, Mike. Again, using that perpendicular movement. It's 10:30. That's right. Let's go ahead and make this happen. I'm going to go ahead and actually fix the authorization before it goes out, right? So, hey, Wendy, how's it going? Good to see you. No problem. I'm glad you made it. It's 10:30, so you only missed an hour. So we still have one solid hour to go, which is cool. I'm going to go ahead and reauthorize the chat in just one moment. Just waiting for that to come up. There we go. Okay, cool. So we are back, which is really cool. So tomorrow's my day to go to the farmer's market, which is fantastic. I'm a plant-based diet guy, so that's pretty much my food shopping for the week. Well, thank you. Wendy says that Emma looks beautiful. I appreciate that very much. We're just gradually darkening her up, you know, getting her ready. That's now she already has a home. This painting has already sold, which is really good. So lately I haven't been able to hold on to the live stream paintings, which is pretty cool. I'm all for that. I want them to have good homes. Ah, cool. Thanks. So that's good. Thanks for everyone coming tonight. I appreciate it. Questions are always welcome if you have any. Yeah, part one on this live stream did really well. The first night, not anything, but then during the week it really picked up, which was really cool. No, not a complaint whatsoever, Bill, that's for sure. Very happy to, you know, part of you wants to keep your paintings, you know. That's always been my life. Money never really did it for me. But, you know, I'm happy to sell my painting because it allows me to continue painting. And also that, you know, there are others who really enjoy it. And that's what I'm finding later in my career, is that I'm happy that people are enjoying the paintings. And that makes me really feel good. Bill says if he sold live stream paintings, would he would stream every day. It's pretty funny. So Bradley, I do have a Facebook, I mean a PayPal. Now I do have other paintings that are for sale on my website, paintingglyphs.com, and you can actually, if anyone wanted to buy the paintings, they could just purchase them with PayPal. And the PayPal is right on my website, which is really cool. All 100% secure with my web server, and also PayPal is 100% secure. So I'm excited about that. I'm rolling out other paintings, but the live stream paintings are always going to be available for the first come, first serve sort of thing, which is nice. That one night I did the nude, that was extremely popular. So how's it going, Bradley? How's life treating you? That nude was very popular. I think it has over 300 views already. I mean, I like nudes. I like painting nudes. I think they're very expressive and timeless and classical. So, you know, it's not a bad way to make a living. Oh, Thank you, Brushstroke. Brushstroke says my work is amazing. Thank you so much. And Wendy says more news. Thanks. So Bill says he tried live stream a bit back and YouTube kept giving me an error. Got to try again. I think what with that is, what kind of internet connection do you have? You have a really good one, Bill? And is it a wireless or is it a hardwired connection? Because that makes a real big difference with live streaming, is your internet connection and whether you're hardwired or wireless. Wireless is sort of you're at the mercy of what's going on around you, even your neighbors or what have you, or the microwave could mess up your live stream. That's not bad. That's okay. And is that with wireless? That sounds like wireless, right, Bill? See, right now we're reiterating some of these darks in here, which is going to reverberate into making your midtones darker, or make your midtones lighter, which you have to go darker with your midtones. Now remember, we're going with this texture, with this 6 to 10 mixture. We started out with the 6 to 21, and now we're at 6 to 10. So this is the progression. We're going to go even darker. Yeah, so wireless is rough, but definitely when you do your live streams, you want to try and be wired. If you're wired, you're going to see like triple upload and download speeds, and there's going to be no interruptions. That's why for the most part my live streams are pretty much uninterrupted. But I went through hell learning that, Bill. Wendy says that she doesn't have AT&T. I have Suddenlink, cause I got 15 MPS, sadly. Brushstroke says I'm going to try live stream soon. Got my Streamlabs set up. Tested a few days ago, but I'm a rookie. So Brushstrokes, like, what is your name? Because your avatar looks familiar. So do I know you as a different name on Facebook? Pete says no idea what he has. It either works or it doesn't. I'll tell you, yeah, that's the way I want to be. But this business makes you want to know, makes you have to know everything. Wi-Fi 90 plus download, 25 upload. So we definitely want to maintain that edge here with the face, her cheek. See that? So we got that nice edge. Her cheek is coming forward. We're going to repeat this over here. And you're just crawling along the surface, guys. See that? Now you see how that hand sort of hugs her cheek, comes in here, and then we have a little bit of a darkening here. These are subtleties you don't really notice, but they're there, and when you do hit them, oh, Jake, how you doing, man? So I don't think we had the pleasure of meeting, but very nice to meet you. Jake Krios, because that's your guys' favorite airbrush, right? Okay, so I think the bottom lip's a little fuller or more full than what I have. Hey, Kathy, how you doing, Kat? Good to see you. Does anyone know if Tim has any formal training or self-taught? I'm having a hard time trying to find classes in Chicago. I'm thinking about going out to Drew Blair. Anyone ever do his class? I am the opposite of self-taught. I've been blessed to have a pretty extensive art school education. So when I was 14, I got into the High School of Art and Design. That was 6 periods of art a day. And there I learned oil painting and pen and ink, where I first got involved with the ink process, working with ink. I did computer graphics from there. I did some university work at National Academies, actually at Rowan University in New Jersey and Long Island University, where I studied art history. Then from there, I went ahead and got I did a small stint at the Art Students League where I studied with George Placentino. And then from there, my last 4 years, I studied with Harvey Dinnerstein at the National Academy School of Fine Arts. There I learned pastel and oil paintings extensively, working from the model, and basically working in every medium except the airbrush. Airbrush came way down the line. I was always taught, guys, that airbrush was taboo. In the New York art world, airbrush is a taboo. Galleries don't take you seriously, blah, blah, blah. So I listened to the hype. So I would say about 5-6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, I started doing airbrush underpaintings for my pastel paintings using India ink, and I would go over in pastel, and I sort of fell in love with it, and that's where we are here today. So that is my my background. I would say it's Harvard University equivalent to, let's say, a business major. That's the kind of education I got. Yeah, so airbrush has always been thought of as a lesser form of artwork, something that only illustrators used. But now, since I fell in love with it, my job is to exhibit into galleries and to juried exhibitions my airbrush paintings. 2 years ago, I was on Fifth Avenue, and I exhibited an airbrush painting. And this year, in November, I'm going to be exhibiting an airbrush painting in a juried show in New York City. So that's pretty cool. Well, the reason why the airbrush had a bad rap, because there's a lot of crap going on with the airbrush, you know. And I think the bad players cause that. But they're, of course, you know, it's just a tool, right? And the integrity of the artist is what's important, not the tool. And that's what I found out. The good thing is, though, if I was to pick up the airbrush when I'm 17, I would have been a totally different artist. I don't think I would have picked up any other medium. But the fact that I learned the other mediums makes me a stronger artist in every medium that I do, whether it's pastels, oils, drawing with pencil, and now with the airbrush. It all comes together, they all work together. The airbrush is the most versatile art tool known to exist, Brushstroke says, and I agree, Jake. It really is. What you can do with the edge work is unbelievable, and a lot of these fine artists don't touch the airbrush because the airbrush will kick their ass. Plain and simple, right? The airbrush is not for the faint at heart. It's a very rough medium. It's like riding a sports car, and you know, all you get to do is read the manual and say good luck, and you know. So yeah, I think the airbrush is like my favorite medium now. Now, now, Kat, I am thinking. Well, actually, I am going to do, but I'm not sure the dates. I will be doing a workshop in New Jersey, and it's going to be only, I think, $275 per student for. It's going to be 4 days, 8-hour days, 3 or 4. I think 4 8 hour, 3 or 4 8-hour days, and it's only going to be around $275. We're going to be doing 2 projects using this method, going over the airbrush and everything. But I won't have the exact dates until tomorrow. I just have to get the okay for one thing here. That's all. So Bill says he started with airbrush, now dabble in graphite and acrylics, and starting with pencils. So the opposite, yeah, all how you get there, right? I mean, there's not one better way or worse way. But being fortunate enough to be, school age during the 80s in New York City, having the connections that I did through work, going to school at the High School of Art and Design and National Academy, I was able to really get exposed to some amazing instructors, which really makes a difference for me as a painter. That's not to say it's not a real tough struggle, Ray says, I think if you're going to spend that kind of money at Drew Blair's class, it would be wise to be really proficient with the basics. Otherwise, you will not be happy with the class. Interesting point of view, Ray. Heath says, the naysayers probably haven't tried the airbrush. True, Heath, true. Drew's class is amazing, Kat, and everyone who has taken his class, everyone who's taken his class has been wildly happy. So with that being said, I haven't taken his class yet, but taking his class definitely will always be a good idea. So, but like Ray said, maybe it's best to get a little more experience under your belt, perhaps, but that I don't know exactly. Ray says, I could imagine spending $1,000 just to learn to do dagger strokes. Well, the thing is with the great thing about Drew's class is they always come away doing these amazing things, even the very beginners. Oh, Kat, definitely. Well, the month is, we'll be doing it a couple of times this year. And so it's in the New York area. There's a hotel right next to it. It's going to be at a art store, so it's a nice public place. It's very safe, which I think is great. So I'll definitely keep you posted. Now, Kat, are you, now who are you on Facebook? So, sometimes I see people and I see their names on YouTube and they're different. Do I know you on Facebook, Kat? Yes, and that's what Ray says. He's talking about showing up without having basic skills, definitely. So yeah, so you definitely want to have your basic skills going into some advanced classes. So that's a good point, Ray, definitely. If you see now Bill says, if you see how many jaws drop when he shows his work, they always say the same thing. That's airbrush? No way. That's great. Oh, okay, Kat. Now, so if you can, now what I'll do is very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's see. there's my email address, Kat. So go ahead and send me a quick email, and this way I can tell you more about my classes. And also, there's something else which is really cool. Is I am doing a video, which I'm going to have a 5.5 hour video coming up, which is really exciting. It's going to be available in about 2 to 3 weeks. And that's going to be really inexpensive. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to be going from the very beginning to the very end of a project. I'm talking through the whole thing as if you're working with me over my shoulders, and this way you can have it on your computer and paint and have me over your shoulder coaching you through it. So it's like a project, and it's in real time. So the painting took me 5.5 hours. So it's 5.5 hours of instruction. So I'm very excited about it. This particular video is taking a lot out of me. The funny thing is I have to do voiceovers, right? So I'm doing these voiceovers, and I can't have the air conditioner on with the voiceover. So I can only do maybe about 8 voiceovers at a time. So I have to turn the air conditioner off and do as many as I can until it gets stifling in my studio. And then I have to put the air conditioner back on, let it get cool, and then repeat the process. It's pretty funny. Oh, so Bill does wildlife work. That's amazing. Very cool. So as you can see, we are darkening things up. We're going to go even darker in just a moment. Let's go a little bit darker. Now when we darken an area, such as with the eyebrow there, we don't want to oversaturate and spider. So we're just going to hit a little area, move on, let it dry. There we go. So just darkening that up, giving some depth to her eyes. So Bill's alter ego is a Furminator. That's pretty cool. So last night I was working on an airbrush painting. Not an airbrush, a pastel painting that was on my easel. I'll tell you, when things get a little crazy, I go back to just working in pastel. Now I've been doing pastels for 30 years. So I didn't give them up. I'm just doing something else right now as far as publicly. So that's why I don't show my pastels now. But I still do them. I think publicly you have to be known for something for a while, and then you could, go ahead and pull out what else you do, but you definitely want a niche. So that's what I'm working on, is creating a niche or niche. Brushstroke says, Bill, do you use my first fur painting that I did as a partial tiger face? Interesting. Okay. I don't think there's a better airbrush on the market that gets fine lines like this airbrush in my hands. I don't know. So I think it's really amazing. So we have some hard edges right here. Let's go ahead and hit them. And what we're doing is, it's already a hard edge there. We're just cleaning it up. Like I said before, you want to make sure that your paintings are clean. You're not having any overspray. It's, it just looks sure. It looks confident. So as you see here, if you notice in here, so you have these two eyes, right? So what are the difference? So Willie, you're leaving. Take care, man. Good to see ya. Let me see. I didn't even see. Oh, gotta go, man. Take care. Thanks so much, and always great to see you there, Willie. So I'm very excited about this video coming out. It's it's actually a lot harder than painting is editing this video, guys. Really is. But I think it'll pay off as far as being a learning tool for everybody. If you can't make it to a workshop or you can't afford it, this would be definitely the next best thing. See how I'm just creating volume as I go? Same thing here, we have the veins. Veins are very soft. Now the things about veins in the hand or anywhere else, where you have a dark, right? So you have this dark, and then you're going to have a shadow or a mid-tone next to that dark. But here's the difference, which is since you have this, you're going to have a corresponding light that goes with the dark. And that's going to create the look of a vein. And you stick with it. And that's how you get that vein, you see? Because if you go too dark with the vein, it's going to look scary. Subtlety is key. And I'm even doing this with the darker mixture 6 to 10, which goes to show you that distance can really help you to get real light, subtle value. So Wendy says that she's going to do some dogs in pastel, and should she do any underpainting first? Most definitely, without a doubt, unequivocally. My technique in pastel painting has always been to, well, not always, I wasn't taught that. Something I learned how to do is do a India ink underpainting. So it's perfect. You've done India ink, so in Airbrush. So doing an underpainting in India ink will really serve you well and give you a really perfect basis to go ahead and do your pastel layers on some surface that already has structure, which is fantastic. So over here, we're going to start defining her eyes. And the shadows casting over here, which just goes a long way. Can I do that on sanded or velour paper? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I never wanted to work on those. I think if you have it, go ahead and do it. But as far as how it's going to take water media, I don't know. I don't know if it's if it can. Hey Joe, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of the week, my friend. So as you can see, we are basically developing everything nicely with our 6 to 10 mixture, which is not our not our lightest light, but still not our darkest dark, a good mid-tone. So what we're going to do is just continue. Right here seems a little bit light, so we'll look at our reference photo here. So you can see that this right here is a little light, so we can darken that up. So you can see how she's coming up, how we can actually go lighter, and we will be going lighter with the pastel. And once we do that, then we come in with the dark accents, because you can see how the dark here is not the same as the dark here. So we can definitely go darker as well. Wendy says, what kind of paper do you use for pastels? I really hate using paper for pastels. I would always use a board. You can use a cold press, hot press illustration board with the gesso and marble dust mixture, which is always great. You can also use, Ambersam has a pastel board, which is fantastic. Highly recommend that. If you have to use paper, which I really just don't I don't really, I think paper is a bad idea when it comes to pastels, because the way I use pastels, I introduce water media, sandpaper, a lot of other things, so I would definitely use board if you can. But that's just my own opinion and my own method of working, Wendy. You have your preferences, and that would be cool. So everyone, just go ahead and give me a shout out what your favorite airbrush is of late. Just like to hear, not just the airbrush you find yourself using all the time. So mine, of course, if you already know, is the Patriot Extreme Arrow by Badger. And what about you guys? Well, you can do it because we have this paper, but yeah, you're just going to have a much better time, Wendy, with board. Illustration board is fine. You could use a really good illustration board and go ahead and use the gesso and marble dust mixture that I like. Let me get some water. Try this different angle. So it's good to see this angle so you can see, let me just lighten this up a little bit. Lower the contrast. There we go, that's not too bad. So you can see that, with this angle, you can see another, angle that. Now, since I'm working horizontal, which I never worked horizontal before, I was always a vertical painter. But since I make sure that I have an airbrush that has a cap, which is very important. Also, if you don't have a cap, let's say you have the Sotar Slim, it doesn't have a cup, but has a little well, make sure you only do 2 drops at a time, because you can see the angles I go in, and if I don't have a cap, it's going to be disastrous. And always check to make sure the cap is fastened. That's always good. Okay, cool. So, well, Wendy says she thinks she has a hurricane coming. That's pretty scary. I gotta look at the news more. Oh my God, Wendy, be careful. So Jake says the GSI Crayols Platinum. He has a Micron series, prefers the cheaper Platinums. They work just as well. Bill says he has a Micron, a Sotar, a Patriot, a Chrome, and an Anthem bottle feed, side feed eclipses, and a Badger. And which one you find yourself using the most right now, Bill? Remember what I always say, you wanna hit the freehand shield perpendicular, okay? Not parallel. See how you get much more of a feeling of a finger going in front of the finger behind it. So definitely it's something that you want to do, not as a hard fast rule, but whenever possible you want to go perpendicular. Wow, 17 airbrushes, that's wild. Now, I really will hesitate using a side feed being a horizontal airbrush artist right now, but if I'm in the other studio and I'm doing a vertical, then the side feed is really good as well. He says he prefers his Badger, a slim and 2020 with a medium needle. Very nice. We can deepen up the shadow of this knuckle here. Now if I want to go lighter, I can just pretty much increase my distance and I can go lighter. If I want to create more of a sense of texture here, I don't need a texture stencil. I just lower my air pressure, increase my distance, and I could go ahead and get that texture of her hand there. Wow, so you gave away an eclipse and still have 3. Very cool. Bradley says, I only have like 4 or 5, but I find one I like and beat the heck out of it. Now, which one, Bradley, are you using this one, the Platinum, the Extreme Patriot Arrow? Is that your favorite right now? Because for detail, I don't see how anything could beat this thing, guys. I'm serious. I have a CMSB, and I get better detail with this airbrush. You know, as far as likeness, don't worry about likeness. Just worry about paying attention to a lot of the different things going on, and that's going to really help. Oh, so this live stream went pretty quick. It's 11:11 already. That's pretty cool. And but as you can see, there's never a rush. I'm always just slowly darkening things up. Now what I can do is I can go with an even darker mixture. So I'm 6 to 10, 6 drops to 10. I can go ahead and do now on the 7th, I made this mixture, which was an 8 to 10. And as you can see, it's still good. I mean, there isn't too much solidification going on. But let's go ahead and I'm going to dump this out. So today being the 10th, it's been about what, 3 days? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to show you with this particular camera here. Now I have these things. They're sort of like strainers, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strain. Well, let me get rid of everything that's in this airbrush. Okay. So this is our 8 to 10. So it's a little bit darker than our 6 to 10. And I'm just going to put that right there. And this is going to catch any kind of solidification that might occur. Now I might get some spillage, I don't think so. But now you see any kind of things that were, you know, that might have solidified to clog up the airbrush has been caught by this. Okay, so now I have a little bit darker. Hey, Tone, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Yes, he says after using the Badgers, he finds that the Eclipse is heavy. Yes, a little clunky, right? I feel the same way, sir. I'm going to put my painting aside. And so Tone said, recently I've stuck on to Olympus 100 and my custom SB. Wow, nice. And the Olympus, those are nice. I think I have one. Let me see. Actually, this is an Omni side feed. This is something I'll use when I'm doing a vertical as opposed to horizontal. And it's the Omni 6000. This has really, really nice. It's a .21 needle in that, so I like that a lot. Yeah, I heard great things about Olympuses, that's for sure. I have quite a few of the side feeds, but when I'm working vertical, when I'm working horizontal, I'm always going with the cups. Okay, so we're a little bit darker now. And let's go ahead and start working with some of that darker value. Now, you start knowing your airbrushes really well, right guys? I mean, the more you work with your airbrush, you're almost like an airbrush whisperer. You pretty much feel things. Now, I feel something very interesting when I pull back. Just a little bit of a stickiness. It's almost like intuitive. What I find is when this happens, let me just get my artwork away from here. I find that the needle is just stuck a little bit, just a tiny bit there. And now it just feels perfect again. So it's just, you know, the more you work with a particular airbrush, the more you just know the quirks and, you know, knows when it says something, what it means, right? Okay, so we have that darker mixture. So as you can see now, when we start reiterating some of the darks, it's going to be much richer and actually lightens up. Like right here, once I come darker, you'll see that this value is going to lighten up. And this is not a hard edge, so I'm not going to use my freehand shield here. I want it to be soft. And, you know, those who have seen my live stream before, it looks like I'm not doing anything, but the thing is, little by little, things are really coming together. So Tone 1 says that he likes the detail I'm getting out of the one I'm using now. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is my workhorse. This is the Extreme Patriot Arrow. I fell in love with this airbrush last year, and I can't put it down. It's just something I just need to work with it. You know, you get that feeling, right? When you have a lot of tone down, a lot of value, you can actually pull up very easily with the eraser. So doing things like the hair, detail like that becomes a much more easy process. But you got to be careful working with this dark because it's more for keeps now, you know? And I'm setting up for those highlights that are coming. They're gonna, bam, it's gonna explode. Hey Dave, how's it going? How's everything? How do you like how she's coming, Dave? Am I capturing her? I hope so, my friend. I hope you like it. Ah, fantastic. So Dave is the proud owner of this painting when she's done? Well, hopefully the proud owner, I would say. I hope. Thank you, sir. Ah, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that so much. I don't know about that. I wouldn't get much for it there if I sold my body there, Bill. What size needles in the Extreme? Great question. You can get all 3 size needles. I get the .21 needle, which is fantastic. What I really love about this airbrush is the inside. It has that cone. You know, it doesn't have that little nozzle. It has that cone, which is really, to me, is just, that is a superior engineering of the airbrush when it has that cone. Think about the most popular airbrushes, most durable airbrushes. You know, you have your Eclipses, they have the cone. You have the Patriots, they have the cone. They are the most versatile. They take a beating, and they just, the more you learn about these airbrushes, about the Badger Patriot Extreme Arrow, the more, you know, there is a learning curve, right? But once you get that learning curve down, then this airbrush really, to me, is probably like the airbrush that fits most like a glove, you know? And it's really amazing. Now, Tone says that he files nozzles and needles on all of his brushes. Very cool. And Bradley says he has a problem with cars. I certainly couldn't afford another addiction. So you collect cars, Bradley? That's pretty cool. So now we have an opportunity to hit some of these creases where, you know, forms sort of come together like tectonic plates, and you're going to have these little darks just like that, and then you can actually go ahead and really, darken. You have 17 cars? That's amazing. Raul says he's eager to try the Creel's PS770. Wendy says you can make pretty good money selling plasma. David says, I love the eyes. So good, Tim. I can't wait to see the pieces in person. Me too. Ray, you're doing some great work over there. I really love the way the portraits are coming out. It's always great to see you, my friend. That's great. That's really cool. As you can see, I'm just working the hair as I'm going. So now that I darkened this area here, right? So let's go ahead. Now we have a soft edge here, so I'm not going to use a freehand shield on this part of the hand here. And darkening this plane here, you can see that because of that, I'm going to lower my air pressure, increase my distance, and I'm going to darken this area right here, but I'm going to use almost a stippling effect by lowering the atomization and getting more of a spread out look, which really helps to create that sense of skin, you know? Bradley says, I had to buy the land behind me to put them on. Wow. Bill says, it's a bit more inset for the split, the micron split the air back even further. One of the things I really love about these two Badgers is, now this is my 1-2 punch. These are my airbrushes, basically the only ones I'm using now. Notice how close the needle is from the paint well. Very close. And also not too far from the needle, from the trigger. So that's why it feels most like a pen, which is really great. So Dave says he has to get some sleep, early start tomorrow. He loves her. She's perfect. Thank you so much, man. It means the world to me, David. And thanks so much for stopping by. Oh man, I'm so glad you did come by and say hello. I really appreciate that. So as you can see, as I'm darkening things up, I'm also refining the shapes, especially in her hair here. So as you can see, we are just bringing things together. So Wendy says at 11:25, it's actually coming close to the end of this live stream. I think it was a very good live stream. I'm glad you guys all came. Last week nobody was here. Well, there was a few people here, and that was cool. But this week was definitely a much more healthy live stream. I'm not doing any more Tim's 2-Minute Tech Tuesdays until that video is edited. So probably in about 2 weeks will be the next Tim's 2-Minute Tech Tuesday. Right now we'll just do these live streams for the first week, couple of weeks. I'm I would say about 35% done with the editing process, doing the voiceovers. So I'm going to be doing that for the next 2 weeks, and hopefully, so quick test. This size right here is 8.5 by 11. He says, great live stream. See you all next week. Take care, my friend. How many of you guys would like to have the DVD along with the digital download if you were to purchase a 5.5 hour video on this technique? Would you want the DVD as well? Is that something that would be important to explore? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks, Wendy, for that. I appreciate it. So as you see, when I go in with the darker mixtures, now 8 to 10. So in the beginning, quick rundown, recap. 621 was in the beginning. Then we went to 6 to 10, and now we are at 8 to 10. So we increased the amount and decreased. We increased the amount of ink and decreased the water to have much darker as we're going. So Bradley says yes, he would like to have the DVD. Brushstroke says yes, in for the DVD as well. So definitely I'm going to have an option where you would just pay for the DVD shipping and handling. I'll just include it, you know. Kat says would recommend we get and bring a SOTAR 2020 for the class. Is that what you're using right now? Sorry I'm at work and can't watch everything. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely have some SOTAR 2020 Slims or some Patriots at the class, which would be really fantastic. So I'm trying to work that out where we could have different airbrushes for the students to try when I do have those workshops. So yes, Wendy's correct. I'm working with the Extreme Patriot Arrow right now. The 2020 Slim is this little guy, but Wendy's right. This is for tight detail, and you can only do 3 drops at a time, but you'd be surprised how long those 3 drops last. So guys, we are at 11:29. This has been a very healthy live stream. I like the way the colors came with the video and the sound quality. Sorry for the air conditioner noise. That's going to be here until October, otherwise I'm going to be sweating all over my work, and that's no good for anyone. So I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys next week. Email me when you get a chance, paintedglyphs@gmail.com. Let me know if you have any questions about the DVD, the live streams, and the digital downloads, or any artwork that you want to purchase. So I hope you have a great week, guys. You take care of yourselves, and thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it.